Hi everyone, and welcome to this exciting topic, code reuse with our Codiumate plugin. We're going to take a deep dive with Codiumate's ability to have a knowledge context of our code base. First, we will warm up with a freeform question. Then we're going to dive into the extra context showing the full project versus a single file. The project is a basic cash register application, and if you want to follow along, the project is in GitHub in the description below. Let's get started. Okay, so before we start tackling the code, I have some doubt and I want to know what is the best variable to use or data type should I use in financial calculations in Java. So I'm going to just say the best data type to use in Java for financial calculations. And I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And it's big decimal. It's talking about precision, controlling over rounding, our float point issues. This is all great. So this is something that I might have had if I was a junior developer that I would have to go and consult and talk to my lead developer, or I might not just be sure and do some searching of the web. But now I have it at my fingertips. So I'm going to keep that in mind when we move on to our other tasks. We need to calculate state tax. That's why I have this tax class. We also have a large code base that might or might not have logic in there that we want to reuse. I could be a junior developer also, not knowing about the code base, or even a seasoned developer, but it's just because it's so large that I'm just not sure if it has logic in it or not. This is where Codiumate shines. Going to go ahead and add the entire project in my context, and I'm going to ask it to create a method to calculate the state tax on a given price. So what has it done? It's gone ahead and created the calculating of the state tax. It's going to take in the string state, and it'll get the value of it from this rates class, somewhere under gov.data.rates. I don't know that yet, so we'll go ahead and explore that. But first, let's go ahead and put it in our class, and there's our logic. Now, it also took on the responsibility to add some tests for us, which is awesome. So let's go ahead and copy all of this tests, and we can just simply replace this. And now I'm going to run the tests. Now, if we see here, you'll look that the actual versus the expected is not the same. What happened? Well, we're not rounding. So what we can do here is highlight this area and focus on it. And we can say round to the nearest, we'll just say cent. Now if we look, it's rounded it. So I can take those three lines and just replace it here and import that class. So now through this iteration development with our pair programmer here, Codiumate, we are able to round up and get to the nearest penny. Let's go ahead and run our test just to make sure everything is good. And it's perfect. We passed all of our tests. We are reusing. Why? Because we're going to go to the rates and see that. Somewhere in this code base, under gov.data, there's all these tax rates. This could be a database call or something else. For example's sake, this was just an enum. But again, think about this. Now, this is the power of Codiumate. We have reuse. When it comes to context, previously I used the entire project because I wasn't sure of any existing logic that I could reuse. Now I know that the tax class is what I want to reuse. So I'm only going to put that in my context to have Codiumate specifically focus on that. Going to come here, add the folder, add the tax class, and I'm going to focus on the current file, which is my cash register class. I now am going to go ahead and put in this question that I have, which is to calculate the discounted price and apply the tax. And with Codiumate, I can just tell it too that I want a test case, and I want to use Texas 50%, all in one swoop. So we have our text class, we have the text calculator, the tax calculator happening in the constructor. I don't particularly like that, and you may or may not know some changes you want to do. So I'm going to continue my chat here, and I'm going to tell Codiumate, hey, update this class using IOC and not to use Spring. Why do I say not to use Spring? Because Spring and IOC go hand in hand in the large language model. A lot of times we'll add the annotation thinking you want to use Spring. So now I'm good to go here, and I'm going to copy this class, add it in, and I'm going to take and say, okay, this is a great test, and you'll see that it's talking about the tests and what type of tests you want to use. I know already because I already created one and put my imports in there. So I'm using the proper ones because I'm using JUnit 5. And I'm going to go ahead and run this test to see if my code works. And it did, because I wanted a 50%, and then I got 54.13 was my expected tax rate with an 8.25. So that was great. Everything is done. I'm using the cash register class. The tax calculator is being injected in because I told it to. And the context, if you look at it, the context was there, so it knew to use the tax calculator as opposed to the whole project, which might have had some other kind of tax stuff, but I really wanted Codiumate to hone in on that class that I created. Let's recap what we learned. We found a quick way to get answers about data types without leaving the IDE. We then loaded the entire project into our context, and Codiumate found and delivered a tax calculation reusing the logic already buried in our project that we might have never found. And then we focused on the tax class, specifically allowing Codiumate to create the discount method, including the tax. And always, we unit tested with ease all our code. Thank you for watching, and happy coding with Codiumate.